Thank you very much for that intro. Oh, it's loud. For that, Luke. Is my timer going, Lisa? I always go over 10 minutes. I'm going to try and stay as close as I possibly can to it today. So I'm James. I'm going to talk to you about the people and technology element of the path to your customer and talk about roadblocks and how you can remove them, how you should think about them. Just as a caveat to start off with, path to customer can incorporate a whole volume of different things from how things are delivered to you, logistics and so on. I'm trying to focus just specifically on the advertising side of things today and bring that back to the ad tech world that I work in to kind of explain how you can use it to kind of drive more customer first experiences. So using that, a way of introducing myself and actually thinking about it from a customer perspective. I'm James, I work at DQ&A. These are the typical kind of data signals that I'll be sending out there and you'll be collecting as marketers on an ongoing basis. Life events, I'm married and I live in Bromley, so life and some geo events there for you. Everyone's always interested in any kind of segments around people's financial status and any loyalty schemes they're part of. I'm ex-customer, I collect Avios points, which I never seem to be able to spend with British Airways. In terms of my media habits, best thing on TV, the worst thing on TV, and my social media consumption, actually considering the industry working, is probably quite low. I'm probably not as strong, as big a user of social media as I probably should be. Hobbies, massive Liverpool fan, love football. I'm a terrible golfer, but I'm trying to get better. I've got an allotment, so I'm going to be tapping Peter up later. I'm preparing for a hard Brexit. I just started this year. My cabbages are going badly, my potatoes are going very well. I'm a big foodie. I have an iPhone, so device of choice, and I'm going on holiday next week. Okay, so hate me if you like. So basically that's just data that's out and about there. That's the kind of information that we use as marketers all the time to build our journeys or our perception of people's journeys. And we do see some good work out there. I don't want to be all negative. We see lots of good pieces of advertising, but if you think just about the advertising experience that we all have, it tends to fall short of expectation. Not to pick on anyone, I don't mean to. Jigsaw, I like Jigsaw clothes, I buy from them a lot. But they have my details, they see what I buy on the site, they know my name is James, they insist on sending me codes for dresses and skirts, never male clothes. Adidas, big Adidas fan, we've all got these ones. You go and buy something through a sale, you get a message 2 days later which tells you could have got an extra 20% off if you just waited a bit longer. And from a holiday perspective, I'm still getting retargeted. Now, for holidays, I'm going on Monday. So if people have got that information, got that signal, they know I'm going on holiday, they should also know that I was searching for this about 2-3 months ago, and it's just ineffective. Now, I'm not saying these are necessarily bad marketing strategies in whole, but I think if we look at it from a proper path to people perspective and how we deliver it, as customers, I think what we experience is just a mixture of individual tactics. There's nothing wrong with retargeting, it works, it's effective, but it's just an individual tactic. And if you want to develop a path to your customer through advertising which considers all those different nuances, then you need a much larger approach. You need a proper digital transformation. So my first buzzword alert of the day. Digital transformation is often used as a term, and yes, businesses have transformed digitally, but if you actually look at where they've done that, it tends to be a lot more in the fundamental building blocks of their business, so in finance, in logistics and so on. But although we've got all this tech in advertising, quite often it's not central to the business and doesn't actually fit in. It tends to be a lot of disparate different platforms that we're using. So my point really is that for a customer experience which delights from start to finish from an advertising perspective, you need a full organisational approach. And that basically comes out of the technology you use and the people you have. If we take data as a given, as the starting point for how we build our path to the people and so on, it's the technology and the people that are actually going to make those decisions, put those strategies together and then execute on a grander scale. So why is a transformation required from a technology point of view? One of the key things is understanding customer interaction. I'm not going to say build a single view of the customer, because again, that's quite a buzzword thing to say in the modern day, and I'm probably talk around the tables later. I'm not sure fundamentally how possible that is in the modern day with GDPR and so on. But ultimately, it's an incredibly complex thing to understand. There are non-linear journeys all over the place. You have multiple touch points. Making sense of all that data, stitching it together is incredibly hard. People's media consumptions are changing all the time. Customer awareness of what you're doing from an advertising perspective is always changing as well. The rise of ad blockers and so on. And as everyone knows, from an advertiser and brand perspective, customers' expectations of what we deliver for them are increasing as well. You've got to take that all in, build, stitch it together, figure out who your people are, and then execute at scale, taking into account all the different nuances you have. What we advise when we speak to clients that are looking to do a more fully rounded approach to their advertising and really understand the path to customer is to actually go back and build a technology roadmap, and from audit to an ongoing development cycle, take stock of the tools that you currently have, in terms of contracts, who owns them and so on, and fully understand what your organisation's goals are and what you want to get out of developing your path to the customer. As I said, retargeting is fine, but it's just one part of it. How deep do you want to go? How much do you want to do? Design a technology stack that fits with your current resource and capabilities, implement that, and then build an ongoing roadmap about what you're going to add and how you can develop in the future. As since we're being hosted by Google, bringing this back into the Google kind of landscape, and there are other products out there, but I think this is, when I speak to advertisers, it's a really kind of good way to explain that kind of stepping up as you go along as a business to get more insights and do more advanced customer-centric work. Is most businesses start off with the foundations with the free Google products. So Google Ads, Google Analytics, you can do good work from an individual perspective there. You can build audiences and you can do retargeting, but it does tend to be very channel specific, and it doesn't tend to take account of all the different nuances of your customers. People then tend to step up to an enterprise level. They take on the Google marketing platform, which allows the introduction of third-party audiences, brings in display. You can see things from a post-impression point of view. You can do things like frequency capping, so you can stop bombarding people with lots of different messages along lots of different platforms. Through to what we call the supercharged side of things, and this is where businesses are really starting to get advanced, where they've pulled all their ad tech together, but they're now actually starting to build on top of it with cloud systems as well. So taking on additional first-party data, your CRM data, which sits outside of your ad tech infrastructure, and you can start to do some really interesting stuff around customer modelling and actually predicting what people will be wanting in the future as well from your customer database. Some lifetime modelling as well, which I think Peter would probably be very interested in based on what he was saying earlier. But underneath it all, even though we've got the technology in place, you've always got to remember we are still a people business. I think everybody in the room has probably experienced that the skill sets are changing within our organisations when it comes to a marketing perspective. We have become much more technology focused. There are new skills required to do some of this work, to stitch this information together, and new roles are involved in as well, because a big part of doing this is actually working less in silos and breaking down those silos, and you're going to start to need new roles like project managers that are going to bring these different teams together to deliver on a more well-rounded message. Partnerships, Peter mentioned partnerships as well. A lot of the kind of articles you see about in-housing these days, I think a lot of it, some of it is, I think businesses are trying to drive efficiencies, but a bigger part of it is actually trying to build a more clear-cut path to their customer and how they work with agencies where some of this work is done outside of their business and in technology which they don't own comes into this. So reviewing partnerships and how you work with agencies and technology vendors is a big part of what you need to do. And also sponsorship. I've had a few chats with people over, a regular thing seems to be that we talk to businesses that want to do bigger picture, customer-centric work, but they keep getting stopped because they can't move off a last click model. because at board level, that's what they review things. It requires, a big investment from a tech level that needs to get marketing on board with technology teams as well. Just because it's a technology that the marketing team wants, it allows them to do what they want to do. Quite often you might get a tech team that doesn't want to use it because, from an investment point of view or an ease of implementation or their perception of security side of things. So there's ultimately, to kind of overcome that, you need a sponsorship at an exec level to kind of control that process. Just before I finish, essential reading that I advise all of you to go away and kind of goes into this in a lot more detail is everyone aware of the Boston Consulting Group material that they did with Google? Hands if you've seen it? Yeah? Well, the Googlers should have seen it at the back. But ultimately, this goes into a lot more detail in terms of mastering digital marketing maturity. I think that's a big part of what we're talking about today. Developing our paths to the customer, really fully understanding them and delivering, executing at scale with them. It does require a broader business look at things. They've got a big menu of different tactics you could use within that. To kind of help you out, and also take that link away as well. You can actually, as a business, you can actually go through and actually enter in details about yourself and see where you are in that maturity framework. It's a real quick way to kind of understand, where you are and what you might want to do moving forward. So I mentioned I just looked at advertising today. I've slightly going over now. Advertising is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the path to the customer. There are other things around, obviously on-site, in-store, logistics, the delivery, how your customers feel when they receive the product, the returns process. The good news is that if you get the technology right on the advertising side of this can inform all those other areas as well to make your life a lot easier. So in summary, what's next? My advice is, get real about where you are and what you can achieve. Like I say, really understand what you are doing from a marketing perspective and a customer-centric perspective. Say it's not bad to be doing retargeting. I'm not saying that's not the case, but you've got to kind of understand that some of the stuff you are doing is not customer-centric if you're not delivering consistent messages or conflicting messages or so on. Build roadmaps for your technology and people, and communicate a clear vision with executive sponsorship if you want to get it through. That's it. Thank you.